after a bit of procrastination, I finally decided that I really need to film this HAZUKI video, even though it's just one unit, alright? So I think we're just gonna make this a recurring thing now, since there's been quite a few comments that I should make more of these videos. Plus, there's not much content these days, like no mines, no raids, no Lisa. I'm waiting for Lisa, honestly. But today I'll be talking about HAZUKI and what HAZUKI is good at and what she's not good at. And I'll be finally talking about whether you should pull for her. To be honest, the answer is most likely yes, you should pull for her. But it's not due to her offensive capabilities, but more due to her defensive capabilities, in my opinion. Unless you have Shiro, then that's a different story. So I did look at the kit before. It's been out for quite a while. It's impossible that I don't actually know what HAZUKI is. But I didn't actually go and read in depth on what HAZUKI does. But I've been seeing this unit for pretty much since the start of the year, since HAZUKI came out herself, because a lot of the Japanese players, they have been talking about how OP HAZUKI is, and HAZUKI is one of those must pulls that was very hyped on to come for global. So when it actually did come for global, a lot of people were wanting to pull for HAZUKI immediately off the bat. They wanted to triple crest her, they wanted to 5+ her, they wanted to do a lot of stupid shit to her. Things that we won't talk about here on this channel, but because we're a family friendly channel. But yeah, long story short, HAZUKI, female Mikey, that's what they called it. Because of the bandages, basically some sort of Toman member, though not officially in it. You get the point. Alright, now moving on to the actual content. Should you pull for HAZUKI? Probably yes. You don't have to watch the video because it's really short, but we'll talk about our kit. So as you can see, our slots is like physical. Slots originally is support, but with the coming of RB stones, you can be defense, so you can help on the defensive capabilities. And you're probably wondering, what can she help with her defensive capabilities, right? So on her skill, she reduces enemies' damage res by 20%. Now this is decently helpful if you're not running shit like Rishkini, etc. So this means that you have more options to run different EQs. For example, instead of running like Rishi's Bikini, you can run her true weapon, so you can increase light allies damage by 30%. I'm told that this is available to stack, so this is fantastic. And with that, you pretty much have access to more self-buff equipments over debuff equipments. So the problem is, if you use this skill in, say for example, Crest Palaces on your autos may be a bit slower because the skill may take a while, though I'm not sure how long the animation takes because I don't have HAZUKI myself. So I'm not sure, but if this animation takes too long, which generally it takes around 2 to 3 seconds, it might be detrimental, but you should play around with your auto and see how it goes. For arts, you deal a negligible amount, 20,000, which is normal. You permanently increase your allies' physical damage by 30% up to 150%. This is actually a pretty good buff over time. It's just that you need to down 500 arts straight off the bat. And we have to remember that on super arts we have to enter third eye. So you ultimately need to enter a total of approximately 500 arts from here alone. Another 200 arts from true arts. Sorry, this is the third eye one. And then after that you get a refund, right? If you're using true weapon. Increase own arts by 100 when entering third eye or true third eye. So that means that you will need to input in 500 plus 200 for the TA to enter third eye, and then you need to minus 100 if you're running true weapon. If you don't, then you need 700, as you can see. So what happens is this takes a while, but the buff is actually not bad. Also, I'm told that this buff stacks with units like Grey, so it could be really good for your nukes. It could also be really good for other units, to be honest. I'm not sure who else stacks with this. I didn't really look into it, but I'm aware Grey stacks, so at least Grey and HAZUKI can be a decent nuking team. Especially because, I'll talk about it later, there's a point I want to make. True Arts for 120 seconds, which is 2 minutes, enter third eye, which is actually a pretty short timer considering that 120 seconds is not a long time. If you look at, like, say, Magia Drive, that's 180 seconds. If you look at Shiro, that's UBW is 180 seconds. So this is pretty short. But during third eye, you deal a negligible amount of 55,000%, and for 30 seconds, you increase allies' art damage by 130%, which is basically a Marco Charlotte buff, and you increase damage res by 30%. Now, if you don't know how damage res works, basically if you stack up to 100% damage res, like element res, damage res, all this. If you go to 100%, you'll literally only take 1 damage. So 30% does help, and it can help you even though you don't have defense slots. Hazuki is basically a more offensive damage res helper, which means that you can run, say for example, Hazuki, and then you run Shiro, and then maybe you run Hart Fen, and you have a very solid team that can survive most content today. So this would be very interesting to have. So if you have super arts, you have 120% multiplier, which is actually pretty low for today's age. And for 15 seconds, you increase allies accuracy by 50%. This is decent. It means that you don't need to run Zilla ever again, which is a great thing, to be honest, because for me, I fucking hate Zilla, especially on Wednesday. Like, I'm sick of just having no choice but to use her because I don't have Luan's shots. But you get the point, right? Like, if you need the accuracy, you can get 50% right here, though there's other ways to get it. Like, for example, if I'm not mistaken, Fen gives accuracy on NA. There's a lot of units that are coming these days in Japan that has a lot of accuracy buffs. So Hazuki is just one of them, and you don't need to look too much into this. Now, everyone has been talking about her light res down. This is definitely the biggest you will ever get in today's global, because the biggest one, if I'm not mistaken, was New Year Milim, and that's like a half of that. So by having Hazuki, you reduce light res by 100%. The problem is you have to remember that currently we only have light magic super awoken units. If we are talking light physical DPS units, the best one at the moment is Light Tethys and Saitama, which means that you cannot reap the full benefits of what light magic can have. If you want to talk about Emperor, I mean, come on, man, he's not even a nuker. So, but if we're talking about like overall DPS, I guess you can say Emperor, but he won't be reaping as much benefits as Shaltier, Nabaril, all these type of units, Juno. So Hazuki isn't really as helpful to light magic, but she's looking for light physical units to help with. And at the moment, I don't really remember any new light physical units. I remember there's some, but not at the moment because I'm not well versed in JP. So moving on to abilities, when in third eye or true third eye. How do you get true third eye again? It's not written here, to be honest. I kind of forgot. But when everyone is 90% or higher, you activate true third eye instead. Yes, I remember. And then you increase your own damage by 100%. Then if you're true third eye, you also increase your own attack and accuracy by 100%, which means that you need to hit 90% or higher HP, which is actually decently hittable. The problem is it's not exactly as easy to hit as, for example, 80% win con units like. Oh, to be honest, I forgot. I'm not gonna lie. But this is super difficult to hit because firstly you have to remember that if you are running, for example, uh, non-Shiro comms, you will go to like say 50%, and then your heart will heal back up. Those type of comms will not let you activate True Third Eye. If you're running a tank, they are most likely going to take most of the damage and they'll go below 50% depending on the comm. Though in this day and age, at the moment we don't have as much difficult levels, so you probably will be 90% or higher. But if, for example, you were to go to say like the next 5 plus Crest Palace, it would be super difficult for you to hit 90% or higher for a tank. So keep in mind that since it's all allies 90% or higher, it's super difficult to hit. However, on the other hand, you can argue that it's super easy to hit the True Third Eye because the True Third Eye, you only need to activate it once to activate True Third Eye. So if, for example, you activate it with, say, 4 type zeros, which is, I'm just saying theoretically, right? So if you activate True Arts immediately when all of you are 90% and above health, then you can reap the benefits of True Third Eye. But you need to think, because since now we're having long form content that's longer than 2 minutes, you need to think of how you can go above 90% health again. Then you increase paralysis res by 100%. Honestly, no one cares about this, because if you are getting paralyzed, you would run Raz anyway, or any cleanse EQs, etc., or prevention EQs, like for example, Nudist Beach Battle Uniform, Raz, DSJ, yep. And finally, the true weapon. True weapon is 10k, so honestly, whatever. For 10 seconds, increase your own damage by 50%, whatever. Increase allies damage by 30%. This is honestly not bad, but if I'm not wrong, I think Lisa's weapon is better because her one is 40% light damage up and stackable. This is stackable as well from what I heard, but I'm not sure about it. But basically what I'm telling you is the true weapon is not as good for the active, but more so for the passive, which is you increase your stats by 20%, which is not bad actually. Increase own arts by 100 when entering third eye or through third eye. It's basically Mizuki. Quite literally, this is Mizuki's girlfriend or some shit, right? So pretty much they have similar kits, but overall Hazuki is just more cracked because Hazuki obviously has SA. But all in all, Hazuki is your offensive helper in the defense. She's an offensive what do you call it? Arts buffer. She also buffs your physical damage, and at the same time, while you're trying to min-max your damage ups, you also have a little bit of damage res to help you with it. So what you can do is you can enter third eye, so you TA first, and then after that you go into SA, or you can go into TA if you need the arts damage up first, or if you need the accuracy, then you can TA SA, and then you go back to TA, and then you rinse and repeat. So it'd be like this. Then you go here. Oops. So you go like this pretty much. Until you go third eye, then you. Oh, sorry. It's actually. I think it's like this. Oh, this is fun, not gonna lie. Yeah, you go like this pretty much. Until you go running out of your true third eye, then you pretty much want to do TA back again into another TA, and then the cycle repeats. So that's how you want to play Hazuki. So once again, I'm going to repeat, if you, for example, for some reason decided that you weren't going to watch this video, and you thought to yourself that you were a smart aleck, and you just thought to yourself, hey, I'm going to watch the last part of the video to see what Grimax has to say about Hazuki. Should you pull for Hazuki? Yes, you should pull for Hazuki. She's good. She's an offensive unit that you want to have. She also gives you defensive capabilities. Her slots are not bad. It's quite easy to hit, but at the same time not hard. I mean, not easy to hit third eye, but we don't really care today because today's content is really easy for Hazuki. She also increased physical damage. She has big tits. Her bandages are barely hanging on. She's female Mikey. Yes, you should pull for her. That's it for the end of the video. Thank you very much, and I'll see you for Goblin Slayer.